Hi everyone, welcome back to Let's Do Bonsai. It's been a little while yet again, but I've had an interesting week or so. Last Thursday I went down to Heron's Bonsai and I met up with Peter Chan. He was very kind to give me some of his time. He was a very busy man. It had been his birthday the day before, so belated happy birthday to Peter. And he kindly signed the books that I've got that are by him, which was very nice and very kind of him. And I had a really good look around the nursery down there, and I bought a tree and I bought a pot and had a really good time. So that was great. And then last night, so it seems to be Thursdays that are happening, I went to the South Yorkshire Bonsai Association meeting, met up with a group of people, really nice, really kind, really welcoming. So hopefully there's some stuff to come from there. Met a guy called Luke who joined on the same night as myself, and me and Luke, we've had some communications between each other, and we may well go and see Luke's trees, which will be interesting to see. So we'll do a Luke bonsai bench tour in the near future, hopefully. He came with a tree last night, a lovely tree. Had a few issues on it, but you know, plenty of people would give their eye teeth to have that tree. So thanks, Luke. It was interesting meeting you, and it was a very nice tree, despite the few problems that you do have with it. So we've got a lot of work to do, a lot of catching up to do. We missed quite a bit of the spring and summer building this enclosure here, which has served us well, but obviously I missed a lot of the potting season to pot things up, and yeah, we missed a hell of a lot. It would have been nice to do something with this blue jacaranda that's growing really well here, but we're not going to do anything with that now until spring next year. It's doing really well. It's one of the blue jacarandas from seed, from one of the kits. I can't remember exactly which kit it was. But that one carried on really well, growing strongly. And then we've got the remnants of one here, just a stick. That it's still really flexible and quite green, but it's got no root on it, and I've put it into some water and some rooting compound just to see if we can get some roots off it, but it's had nothing for a long time, so I don't hold out any hope. I think it may well already be dead, despite the fact that it's looking nice and green. So we're not going to mess with the blue jacaranda, but what we are going to work on, you may remember I bought these couple of trees from a local nursery, and we did say we were going to do something with them. So while we're waiting to work on the nursery stock pre-bonsai trees, we could do with just doing a bit of work on these, because they've not been in the best of health just recently. So I think we'll get them out of their pot, we'll check the roots, make sure the roots are okay. We won't agitate them too much because it's not the perfect time to be doing it, but if we get them into some nice bonsai soil and then put them nice and easily located inside this enclosure, then we should have the instant recognition of whether or not they're doing well or not. So there's a lot of things going on down at the root side on this, and the soil's very spongy, so I'm not sure quite what's going on in there, but we're not going to do too much drastic stuff. We'll lift it out, clear it up, pull the roots out a little bit. We'll get rid of some of the branching that's growing, because it's actually pretty much dead anyway, and then it can carry on supporting the nice foliage that's up the top. So we'll start by taking it out of its pot. It should come out pretty well, and it has done. And as you can see, it's in some peat type soil. There's a fair amount of root in there, but not a huge amount, to be fair. let's rake away at that and see what we've got. So if we just rake out from the middle of the tree, you can see it's been lifted to expose more and more root, which is nice, but the root down below hasn't done a great deal, but it has done hopefully enough. And we'll just clear out this soil so we can look to get it into our bonsai soil mix. The roots are quite messy, shall we say. There's some dry spots here, so water wasn't getting in to all of the parts, but there's some nice fine roots down here. We don't want to do too much with those, but we will just clear out these roots. So you can see it's been lifted out to expose like a spider-legged stand, as if the tree was trying to stand up and walk away, which has allowed some of the roots to dry up, and the rest of them underneath are pretty much okay. It's going to be interesting getting the soil back into these roots, but you can see that they all just come down. So the fact that it's been lifted out means that we're going to have to live with that and continue that, and maybe slowly take some of these straight down roots away, but that's not going to happen today. We now know what we're looking at and what we're facing, and we'll work with that. I'll just give the roots a mist just to keep them nice and moist, and we'll clear up this soil and then come back in with our fresh bonsai soil. So we've got the same pot all nice and cleaned up. We'll just put some drainage screens into the bottom, and we'll get a layer of soil in there. That's a nice layer of soil in there, and I think the roots, as you can see, just come straight down. I think probably what somebody's done at some stage before we got hold of it is they've literally chopped straight through, because that is a perfectly flat you know, base, if you like. Not ideal, it's certainly not radial, but obviously if we're going to follow on with these multi-trunk, multi-root looking style, that's what we've got and that's what we're stuck with. So we'll just try and make sure that the roots that are down, the finer roots, the feeder roots, you know, we'll keep them, and we'll just make sure that they spread outwards in the pot. So because it's nice and flat, it's actually standing up really nice and well in the pot. I did choose this as the front for now, but we've got such a long road to go on this. We're going to cut away these lower leaves as we go forward, but I think what we need to do straight away is get the soil back around these roots, get it packed in, worked in with our chopstick. And then we can look at the upper structure of the tree. I do see a really good future for this tree, but I do see that it's also a long way off. So we'll just work the soil into the roots. You should see this disappear as it falls down into the pot. This is a mixture of clay particles, some red flame from the Chelsea Royal Botanical Society. There's some eggshells in here, there's perlite in here, and there is some potting mixture in here as well, just to give it some organic, although we will be fertilizing also. So the organic side of things isn't too strong, but just enough to give the tree a bit of something. So we'll just keep working away, getting the soil back into the root structure of this tree. Now that we can know what we're working with. This is the first time it's been out of the pot since we bought it. We probably bought this maybe a year ago. Might not be that long, but it feels like it was a year ago. We put it on a video and said, you know, welcome to the channel, to the tree, and people were excited to see it worked on. And with one thing and another, it's just not found its way onto the workbench, mainly because we haven't really had a workbench. But the tree's carried on doing okay. There's a few dead branches on here which we'll take off, natural selection, and we'll see what we've got to work with going forward, and then we'll allow it to grow probably for another year, and then we'll start making some serious decisions going forward. So there is just a few more air pockets in here that I can feel as I'm working away with the chopstick. I'm trying not to be too aggressive with the chopstick because I don't want to damage the roots too much. But hopefully the tree will like being in the new bonsai soil and thrive and continue to do well. But we'll keep working this in. So as I said, this is a variegated Serissa. I've seen lots of Serissas out there in the bonsai world. Not seen many variegated ones, or any that have been really lifted out of the soil to look like this. It's quite a different design to a lot that I've seen out there. Just get a bit more soil. So it's taking quite a bit, as it should, and it's going in quite well. I can feel just with the chopstick, I can feel the roots firming up in the pot. Every time I knock the root, you know, I can feel that it's firmer than the time I knocked it just before. It's going in there really well, really nicely. I think they'd built up the soil last time around up to about here, but I'm going to leave it bare and allow the bottom roots to do their thing, and these will harden up and feed off of the bottom. They've been exposed for that long now that they've hardened off. So we'll just see how that feels in the pot. And yeah, that feels, although you can see it moving, I feel like I could almost pick the tree up and it would bring the pot with it. I'm not going to try that, but it certainly feels like it would allow me to do that. So we'll just give that a good water through. It is a little bit dusty, this this mixture. I think with all the messing around I've been doing, it's not as refined as it would normally be, but it should do the tree well. Should be okay. Just give this a good water through and make sure that it's coming cleanly out of the bottom of the pot. This is a different lid to the ones that it's a lot finer, the spray on this. I've not it's not allowing so much water in, which is a good thing, but I probably need to get a bit more water in than I would do. I think I'm going to change the lid because that's taking far too long to get any more. The bottle's still full. So here we go with a larger one. You can see the water charging out a lot more. It's actually moving the soil mixture about, and straight away it's running out of the bottom. So yeah, that top will be ideal for when we don't want too much water to go in and too much pressure, but it wasn't doing me much good just there. So the water's running through, a little bit murky with the dust, so we'll just keep going until it cleans itself off. So that's a good thorough watering. We'll just clean up our workstation here, and then we'll come back and do some branch selection up top. So luckily or unluckily, depending on which way you look at it, we've got a lot of natural selection on this tree. We've got a branch here that comes up and crosses and goes up into here. There was some foliage on there, but that seems to have gone, so we would have probably been looking to take that off anyway, but now the decision's pretty much been made for us. We will take that off. So that's that gone. Just tidy up. We will take off these lower suckers that are growing up. There's an old remnant of a branch here that just wants to go. I'll take that away. It's nice to see these nice little bits of growth, but they're totally on the wrong bit of the tree. There's one here comes up from too low, we'll get rid of that, and then there's a branch there that was dead, needs taking away. That exposes the trunk a lot more, so we'll just take those away. There's this one coming off at the side, which it's kind of in the wrong place, so unfortunately we'll get rid of that as well. That was a nice little branch. And then we've got around this side some additional suckers and branching that just needs to be trimmed off. We've got a woodlouse there. Come on, Mr. Woodlouse. We'll get him. There he is. I'll just try and pinch him. Right, that's got him away. Now we do have some other branching that is in the wrong place or crossing and needs to be removed. This is actually a root coming down that goes down and then goes back into the planting. I would look to remove that, but just for now I'm going to leave it on just for the condition of the tree. We've got a branch on the inside here that's died off, so we'll get rid of that. And then just looking around, we've got some little low level branching off of branches that we can just tidy up. There's one that comes off that root there. We would look to remove that, but I'm just going to take this little one off there for now. We definitely need to do some sorting out here because we've got multiple branches coming out at the same point. This one's coming up in parallel with that, and that has removed a lot of the tree. Might try and root that. I don't know whether it will root, but that's a nice little bit of tree. That it's a shame to have had to remove it, but it was in the wrong position, the wrong place. I'm going to leave these to grow, and then we do have a bit of contesting going on there with this one coming up that's contesting with this branch, but decisions. I didn't want to take too much off. I wanted to let it, you know, recover and survive. It's, you know, it's done okay, but not brilliantly. So I just want to let it do as well as it can. Just try and get that bit of branch out of there. There's a lot of work needs doing to this tree, but because we kind of neglected it while we did the work up above, and we've just put the roots into some fresh soil, I don't want to do too much. I want enough foliage up here to get the energy down and into the roots. So I think for now we're going to leave that as is. We know that we've got branching that we want to take off and need to take off at some stage going forward, but there's enough there to help the roots to support the tree and the tree to support the roots. Yeah, a lot of work going forward. So the next tree that we've got to look at is the Japanese holly that we got at the same time as that variegated Serissa. We'll do this one a little bit differently. We'll take back the foliage that's growing a bit vigorously, and then slip it into some new soil. So we'll just take off any tips, work it back to a workable compact form, and then we'll be able to let it grow. Any dead pieces we'll remove. That's fell off. That's actually done as a favour, it's exposed some nice branching for us there, so we'll just tidy that up. That's got some new growth coming out of some old dead wood, so that's interesting. We'll just take that back, and then round the back here we've got some little dead branches that can just come off. It's quite strong. Take that one away. We're not going to do too much to it. There's a branch there that's competing with the main branch. It's got quite a bit on it, but we'll take that out. And there's a lot coming from that one area, so we'll just tidy that up ever so slightly. Got some nice branching coming in at the top. We've got a bit to take off around the back there. Maybe the sun wasn't getting to it enough. And then some little dead end branches just there. I will just tidy them up off the trunk. They've been left on from previous cuts, so we'll just get rid of them. There's an interesting branch that comes straight up here and then dog legs straight across to fill this area out. We'll not do anything with it yet. We'll wait until next year when we're doing some proper branch selection. But there's going to have to be some serious decisions made, because we've got a branch going out there, then we've got two branches coming out here and here, and then some branching coming up and going across in a strange direction, but not horrible. So I think that's enough taken off of the holly. Just have one last look at it. Maybe just some little ends at the top and one down there that I just need removing. Yeah, the tree's got some nice new growth coming in on it, so we'll see how that forms, and then we'll make some proper decisions next year about which branches we're going to keep. I'll just take off that back to there just to take out the vigor of that branch, and we'll just knock that one back as well. So no real branch selection made, we just took off the dead ones, and then we'll see for branch selection next year. We'll just lift it out of its pot. Oh. Quite a lot of roots in there, and it's holding a bit of moisture, so I think it's a good job that we're looking to get it out of its pot and into some nice new soil. We'll just rake the roots out a bit, get rid of this dirt, this soil. It is dirt and all, it's not nice peaty soil or anything, it's proper dirt. So it's not fantastic, so that's why it's retaining a lot of moisture. But we'll work it out. We'll get rid of as much of this as possible and see what we can do. Yeah, it's very soggy, almost clay-like. See there, it's just not nice at all. Looks like we've got a couple of major roots going up and around. We may have to keep hold of them for now, but they will need to go by the looks of them. Yeah, there's a bit of a smell coming off this soil, but it was probably put in to lift the tree higher, like the last tree that we had. The nursery where we got them from obviously has a bit of a thing about lifting the trees high out of the pot to expose more root, try and get a nice looking nabari, which does work. Right, I'm going to go and clean these roots off a little bit, just rinse them over, and then we'll see what we've got to work with and get it back into its pot with some fresh soil. Okay, so I'm kind of horrified. We've got this root system and it runs two major thick bulbous roots coming off of the base of the tree, which, you know, I don't know whether it was from a cut-in or whether it was from an air layer, but it's got these big chunky roots with all these peripheral roots coming off, nice feeder roots, but they all go in totally the wrong directions. Now I'm in a bit of a quandary. I can stick it back in the same pot, or I can try and put it into a larger pot and pull the roots into a more radial fashion. Now the problem with that is, in order to do that and retain these roots with the feeder roots, I've got to put it in quite a large pot. I'm kind of thinking that it's a decision maybe best made next year. For the goodness of the tree, we'll not put it under too much stress, too much more stress than I already have done, and we'll get it back into some soil and not damage or move the roots too much more than we already have done. But at least we know now what lays ahead of us, and I'll keep my eye out for a pot that will be able to sustain those till those roots go into a more radial fashion, or we may even take those off at the beginning of spring, maybe 2023. So we'll give this plenty of time to get loads of energy and vigor into the tree, and then we'll look to take these roots away and put some more down. Ideally what we want is some more roots coming out of this side, which there does seem to be some lumps and bumps where some roots may come from, so hopefully we get a bit of something coming out of there and it can feed the tree. We'll just give them an extra spray just to keep them nice and moist. And if we find some screening, we can refill the pot. So we've got some screen in the bottom of the pot there. We'll just get some soil and put a layer of soil into the bottom, and then there's only one or two ways this tree can go, so we'll go with it. We'll get plenty of soil back into this pot. And just work it in with our chopstick. So at least we've got rid of that old mud soil that it was growing in that wasn't really doing it any favours other than hiding those roots. And we can get it into this new soil, and hopefully it'll enjoy having the additional oxygen into the roots. Let it breathe, and then we will revisit this tree in either the spring of 2022 or possibly 2023. I think I did say 23 originally, but the way that that's just gone into the pot there, we're probably going to need to revisit it in 22. There's just not going to be enough space in there for it to keep growing that extra year, but at least it will carry on doing okay until next spring. So I think we'll put this one on the list to be repotted in 2022. And we can make those decisions, take off lots of roots at the right time of the year. I could do it now, but the tree would suffer, potentially die. It would need a lot of care and a lot of babying, and the way things have been through work and things like that, I can't guarantee that I'm going to be here to baby it and nurture it through. So we're better off doing it at the right time of the year rather than trying to force it now and do all the wrong things. As you know, I probably would have done previously. I would have just carved all those roots off and hoped for the best, and you know, sometimes you get away with it and sometimes you don't. But that's no good if you guys are watching and thinking, oh well, you know, Scott's done that, I'll do the same, and you kill your tree. I would hate for that to be on my conscience, that you've copied me at, you know, a certain time of year to try and do good for a tree, and it actually turns out to be the death of the tree. So we'll get this repotted, finished, and get it back on the shelf, water it through fully, and revisit this one in the spring of next year, and hopefully sort out that root system. I would have really liked to have sorted it out now, but I've managed to restrain myself and you know, prevent myself from doing what's probably not ideal for the tree. You've always got to think of the tree first. You know, yes, you want to do the work, yes, you want to prune, yes, you want to work on the roots, but you don't want to do it to the detriment of the tree. So always think of the tree first, and I've managed to do that this time. You know, this work has been done mostly with the best interests of the tree. I maybe could have waited until spring to have taken it out in the first place, but at least now we're forearmed and forewarned with the condition of the roots of both these trees and the condition of the branches, even though we can see them all the time. We'll just water it through, which will force even more soil and particles into those roots. And hopefully it will continue to grow and do well and fix itself into the pot until we want to take it out next year. So that's flowing through nicely, so we know it's going straight through the pot, through the drainage screen, and coming out of the base. So we'll get that onto the shelf and leave it be, apart from watering, until 2022. Okay, so that's going to be it for today. Two of them trees nicely tidied up. Hopefully they'll continue to do well. As always, I'm Scott Winard for Let's Do Bonsai. Have a great rest of your day. If it is the end of your day, then have a great tomorrow. If you do go outside, please continue to wear a mask if you can, and be kind to others, animals and the planet. And as always, I'll see you again in the next one for more bonsai work. See you soon.